Hello. So this one is really interesting from my review standpoint, because I get done with these, I come out here and just talk and talk and talk and talk like there's no tomorrow. But I'm having a little trouble getting started with this one, simply because it's so mellow and so meditative and relaxing that you kind of don't want to talk. You kind of just want to, sit here and go, so this was a good one. Oh, this was a really good one. So what's kind of funny is, as I'm watching this movie, I kind of had a flashback to when I was a kid. I'm not sure of the exact timeline of this, because it's based mostly on a true story. And the film, gives you dates and times, and it looks like it's taking place mostly in 1981. But, maybe I'm wrong, maybe I'm thinking of somebody else, but I distinctly remember, as the film was going, I distinctly remember seeing reports about this on Unsolved Mysteries that was hosted by Robert Stack. So anybody of my generation or a little older will remember that. And I remember very distinctly the reports they did about this. They called him the Grandpa Bandit, or the Over the Hill Bandit, like they call him in the movie. This old guy who just went in and very politely handed people a note and just said, I'm robbing the place, and was very nice, and just walked out smiling, and that was it. I remembered that as I was watching the movie. So I don't know what the timeline is for real, as opposed to the the parts that they made up, because they do admit that this, as opposed to most ones that say this is a true story, someone goes, that's mostly true. So I don't know what's mostly and what's not, but it's really it was kind of fascinating to have that little remembrance. So this movie, if you haven't heard of it, is Robert Redford playing essentially this old bank robber, this old gentlemanly bank robber who goes in and like I said, doesn't shoot his gun, doesn't do anything, just says, I've got one, and he talks real nice to the people he's robbing, and it's kind of your typical bank robbery movie, except in the major details. And I think what sets this movie apart is the stuff that it doesn't do, the stuff it omits, as opposed to the stuff that it does do. Because you compare this one to just about any other bank robbery movie, even if you want to compare it to the Old Guys Robbing Banks movie from last year, Going in Style, it's a very different type of movie. It's not interested in the details of the heist, because it's not like one big score. He's done this for years and across multiple states. It's not interested in the ticking clock of why he's doing it. He doesn't have like some mortgage he's got to pay, or he's been doing it for a while, and therefore has like this whole nest egg saved up that he doesn't spend. So it's not interested in that. It's like I said, it's not interested in the concept of will he get away with it. He has gotten away with it, or as they say in the film, he's been caught a bunch of times. So getting caught isn't really a real concern for him. And of course, like with one of these movies, he's being pursued by a younger police officer played by everyone's favorites, sexual predator Casey Affleck. And unlike a lot of these other movies, there's not like this intense, Moby Dick, I've got to catch this guy, obsession that the guy has. It's more, that relationship is more kind of a cat and mouse. They're enjoying it. Casey Affleck's character of the cop who's chasing him is kind of portrayed as someone who kind of hates his job, who doesn't like what he does. He's bored with it, or like he even says at the beginning of the film, I'm just plugging a hole that's just going to spring out again. So it's like, so he's a guy who's kind of, he's turning 40 and is kind of frustrated with his lot in life, and through just kind of trying to chase down this old guy, he kind of starts loving his job again. So there's almost this kind of sorrow that he didn't get to catch the guy. So that's a really interesting way to go. That it's not like this. Again, a lot of these films, it's the Moby Dick thing and that fear of, are they going to get caught? And that's not at present here. So the question you got to ask is, like, so what is the movie about? And that's kind of hard to put a finger on, because the movie is just a very nice, meditative, like I said, a reflection back on life and age, but not in like a sad, we're all gonna die type way, or I'm really sad, I'm old type way. In just, life is fun and pretty, and you take joy in the simple things, and you do what you love. It's what you love is robbing banks. And like I say, in most of these films, with bank robberies, I'm always a little, and I think you should be a little kind of off on the heroes, because they are stealing, they are doing something wrong, but this one, the guy, you really do feel like the guy's not trying to hurt anybody. He's stealing like relatively small amounts each time. So you're just like, there's this part of you, they're just like, just let the guy rob his banks. He's fine. He's not hurting anybody. Fuck it. This is one of those movies that I was kind of surprised to see that it wasn't directed by Robert Redford, because I can't see how this film could have been done by anybody else but Robert Redford. There is such a dignity and a class and a style to this character, this bank robber, Forrest Tucker, that Robert Redford just has. It's this very calm, very laid back, and yet it's all there. He's charming. He's, I don't even say intimidating, but you could see him robbing a bank. But he's pleasant. The guy looks like he just walked out of a Norman Rockwell painting, except instead of painting fences and whatnot, he goes and robs banks. And Redford just kind of has that swagger and that dignity and that class that just sells the hell out of it. I am not as big a fan of Casey Affleck, even before the charges and the accusations. I haven't heard anything about that. There's so many of them in the news these days, sadly, that's hard to keep track of who's doing what. But I've never been as big a fan of his. I hate it. As anybody who's seen my reviews will attest, I despised Manchester by the Sea, so I did not think he deserved that Oscar. I think he does an okay job here. He does his part as well as he can. I think this is a role of this cop that has to be handled by an actor like Casey Affleck. It can't be anyone with a big name. It can't be a Ryan Gosling or a Bradley Cooper. I'm just naming those because those are the two guys who are currently fighting out for Best Actor, with their movies at the moment. It has to be someone a little bit more unassuming, a little bit plainer. The movie is not. It's not a glitz factory. It's, like I say, it's very interesting around this time of year as the films that are trying to get Oscar buzz are coming up. That these films are very slick, very polished, and they really feel like they're pushing those lead actors on you. Going, look, Bradley Cooper for Best Actor. Look, Ryan Gosling for Best Actor. And this one is just kind of like, fuck it, here's a nice movie. It really does have that. It does have that feeling of just, this is nice. Which is weird because you would not associate that kind of thinking with a bank robbing movie or a biopic, a fictionalized biopic about a bank robber. It's not the things you'd associate with, but it is. You know, the whole time I'm watching this movie going, I'm really liking this. I feel at peace. And like I said, I had to restart this video twice because I just sat there for a minute going, what do I say? It's got an interesting film quality to it. Like the film is really trying, and it's something that the trailers did that was really weird, is that for such a laid back, very relaxed type of film, this one is really trying to capture kind of that gritty, grimy, you know, feel of a late 70s movie, which is, you know, about where the film takes place in 1981. So in that kind of nebulous time when one decade is transferring into another. The film is grainy, you know, the text and the coloring is, you know, that kind of, you know, faded yellow, the weird kind of bubbling letters. I don't know what you call the font that they use on it. But the film is really trying to give you this impression of I don't know what you'd call it, like, I guess an independent movie from around that time, a bunch of guys who just grabbed some, you know, some old 8mm cameras and just went out and filmed a movie. It's really trying to give you that feel of it. Which is an odd choice, but really, watching it, I'm like, I don't know what other choice I could make to tell the story. What I also like about this movie, and this is something that a lot of independent films don't get, again, this is something I remember as I'm watching this film, I was reminded of Manchester by the Sea and Brad's Status and a couple other ones I hated, where this film isn't afraid to let some scenes just be silent and just watch a character either react or two characters kind of play off each other just through facial expressions. And it did not work in the other films I mentioned because it felt too pretentious. It felt too, you know, artsy. Oh, a silent scene. Look at them stare at each other, you know, for 15 minutes without blinking, and so you think the film paused. You know, no, there's like a really neat scene here when Sissy Spacek's character, so I'll talk about her in a second. When Sissy Spacek's character is kind of realizing that the man she has met kind of in a random encounter actually is the bank robber he's kind of told her he is. And it's slowly kind of dawning on her, and you see her doing this thing in her kitchen of just filling up a tea kettle. You know, it overflows a little bit because her mind's somewhere else. She puts it on the kettle. You know, there's no dialogue. It's just her kind of going about this very mundane thing, but her mind is clearly, you know, working things out and thinking and coming to decisions. And for some reason, I want to give credit to the fact that it's more experienced actors. It really frickin' works. You know, it's a nice moment. There's another really cute moment with her and Robert Redford. Again, little to no dialogue. It's just them doing, you know, moving and reacting. And it's so much about their character and their relationship, and it's really lovely and simple and well done, which again is kind of the mantra of the movie. Very simple and well done. So Sissy Spacek plays this woman that he just kind of meets after a robbery in a very, you know, kind of mundane way, helps her with her truck. They go have lunch, they strike up a friendship, and it's this whole thing. It's a fascinating relationship because you can't really say off the top of your head that it's romantic. It doesn't feel like it's romantic right away. It just feels like two people connecting and talking and sharing life experience and all that. And again, a lot of these really quiet little scenes. There's a wonderful scene with the two of them on her porch, and, you know, just kind of talking about reflecting back on your life and the choices you've made and where you are and all this. And again, none of it feels like it doesn't feel like one of those scenes that's just flashing Oscar bait, Oscar bait, Oscar bait, Oscar bait. It actually feels, like the writer had really something he wanted to say, or these two actors just, get the characters and get what they're going through and can really convey it very, very well. So yeah, man, what an enjoyable, quiet, just unassuming little movie that, I don't know, I just had a real nice time watching. This isn't one of those movies that I come out going, oh my god, that was so awesome, oh, I gotta talk about this and this and this. And it's not one of those movies where, like, oh my god, this sucks so bad, I gotta talk about this. It's one of those movies where I'm just like, that was really nice. That was really lovely. There's not a lot negative about the picture. There's not a lot negative about the characters or the way the story is told. There's no bad guy, really. It's just kind of, it's just there's not even really a central narrative, if you really think about it. Aside from, Casey Affleck trying to catch him, there's not really a central storyline. It's just kind of this old guy who robs banks kind of going through his life, the twilight of his years, and meeting a new friend and kind of making new connections, and you get the feeling like this isn't the first time that this has happened, that he's made a friend and they've shared things. You get the feeling like he's had this amazing adventure-filled life, and you're just kind of getting to see the last chapter of it. But it's one of those things, you don't feel like you're cheated because you didn't see all the stuff that came before. You're like, I think that's what I needed to see. That's all the story I needed. And it again, works. There's not much else to say about this one. So final grade, I gotta give this one an A. And I feel like saying A+ almost, but for some reason something's holding me back. And that's kind of one of the problems with doing one of these reviews in this style, in which I do them just right off the top of my head, right after, is, gut reaction isn't the same as contemplation. So, maybe after a little while and thinking about this movie a little bit more, I'll be able to say, oh, okay, that's why it didn't get the A+. But, right now I'm just so kind of relaxed and chill with life after seeing that movie. And, it's kind of one of those films that you kind of go, why am I worried about stuff? I should enjoy stuff. Why is stuff worrying me? So, I recommend this one. Go check it out, especially, again, and I'm not taking anything away from Star is Born, and I haven't seen First Man, so I can't judge it. But there's something very sincere about this movie that I don't get from those films. I didn't get it from Star is Born, and I don't get it from the trailers for First Man, of just like, you're all begging for awards and accolades, and hi, watch some really talented actors, a really talented director, and a really smart little script. Let us show you how to make a really good movie without needing to set off fireworks every 5 seconds. And, as a director who does that kind of stuff myself, or did, in my younger years, go direct on your big stage. I'll be fine here in the black box, and I'll show you what I can do with 12 actors who are really hungry and have something to prove, and a really well done script. Let me show you. So I appreciate this movie a lot, and I highly recommend it. So please go check it out. You won't be sorry. At least I don't think you will. All right. So that is this one. It's going to be kind of weird this next weekend, and we'll see how things go, but I always come back eventually. So until next time, drive safe, and I will see you at the movies.